This is Embracing Digital This Week with Dr. Darren and Paige Pulsifer.
This week's top stories. The internet hiccups at the edge. Does the whole system stall? And is this real or just another buzzword with nicer shoes?
It's real. A Defense Scoop report says Pentagon planners are drafting work for joint warfighting systems, and the goal is to push some decisions closer to where the action happens. That same shift is showing up in AV, industrial sites, and factory intelligence.
Okay, that sounds like a strategy issue disguised as tech. Who actually feels the difference?
3 groups: operators, executives, and people in the field. The payoff is lower latency, better resilience, and more useful AI when connectivity is weak or expensive. Think of it like moving the signal booth inside the stadium instead of across town.
So the call gets made faster because the data doesn't take a road trip first. That feels less fancy, more practical.
Exactly. And practical is the point. Synchronoss is pushing secure edge AI for factory intelligence, and that turns local machines into decision makers instead of passive sensors. The Register also reports researchers are exploring neuromorphic designs that could one day cut power use dramatically, which matters when energy and bandwidth are tight.
Wait, power use matters that much? I assumed this was only about speed.
Speed is the headline, but power is the bill. If you can process locally, you can reduce cloud dependence, save energy, and keep working during flaky connectivity. For leaders, that is an organizational choice, not just an IT upgrade.
That sounds a lot like our road trip rule. If the signal drops, you still need a plan. Especially when we're trying to catch the World Cup in some place where the nearest crowd is a gas station.
That's the right instinct. Mobility engineering tech says spacecraft and satellites are now processing more data in orbit, and the same edge pattern is showing up in live event operations and remote sites. When the environment is tough, moving compute closer to action improves continuity and decision speed.
Hold on. So this is edge computing, but also a process change. Teams have to decide what stays local and what goes back to the cloud.
Yes, and that decision touches strategy, organization, and the physical world. If your factory, arena, or remote site cannot wait for round-trip latency, local processing becomes part of the operating model. In pickleball terms, you stop chasing every shot and cover your half of the court well.
That one I get. Fewer unforced errors, fewer surprise gaps, and everybody knows their lane.
And that is the takeaway. If your teams depend on fast, reliable decisions in a plant, field site, arena, or vehicle, choose where edge processing belongs before you buy more cloud capacity. The hardware should match the job, not the other way around.
Speaking of what belongs where, that leads right into how organizations are handling all this data once it lands. Next week, let's talk data management before it turns into a digital attic.
Exactly. We'll move from where compute happens to how data stays useful. Catch you next week.
Hold on. Cybersecurity is leaving the office and moving into power grids and wind farms? That sounds real, not sci-fi. What happened and who needs to care this week?
It is real. Accenture says it is building an end-to-end platform for critical infrastructure defense against AI-driven threats and geopolitical risk, and DOE work with industry is also focused on cybersecurity for wind energy systems. That means energy, industrial operations, and the systems that keep lights on are now the target, not just laptops and email.
So the blast radius got bigger. Great. Are leaders supposed to buy more tools or rethink how the whole operation is run?
Rethink the operation. This is a strategy issue disguised as a tech issue, because physical systems need visibility, verification, and clean handoffs between the real world and the connected one. Think of it like double-checking the court before a pickleball point, not after the ball is already called out.
Okay, that I get. If the system is sloppy, the attack has a better chance to score.
Exactly. Palantir is expanding its security software with Allego, and industrial defenders are using newer tools to find weak points before attackers do. The point is not just response, it is prediction at scale.
Wait, prediction in cybersecurity? So the machines are trying to spot the trouble before the trouble spots them?
Yes. New AI tools are being used on both sides of the fight, and that changes the pace of defense. It is a lot like VAR in soccer. More data does not eliminate judgment, but it can sharpen the final call.
Speaking of calls, we were hunting for a screen on that road trip just to watch the World Cup in the middle of nowhere. If officials can get better calls with edge tech and AI, I can live with that.
Right, and that World Cup example shows the same pattern. Edge computing, digital twins, and AI can help officials make more accurate decisions on the field. In cybersecurity, the same idea applies to wind turbines, factories, and remote sites where the data has to move fast and still stay trustworthy.
But what about the weird extra day off story? That sounds like a workplace prank gone bad. Why bring that into cyber?
Because confusion is a security issue too. That story shows how fast trust breaks when digital messages are unclear, and the same is true for infrastructure. If people cannot tell what is real, the organization gets shaky fast.
So it is not just about stopping hackers, it is also about making sure people and systems are seeing the same truth.
Exactly. Leaders need stronger digital controls, but they also need clearer processes and cleaner communication across the organization, the physical plant, and the security team. Otherwise, you get the cyber version of a line change gone wrong. Everyone moves, nobody covers.
That one hurts because I can picture it. So what should a policy leader do first?
Choose one critical system and map the real-world dependencies, the digital controls, and the decision owners before you buy more tools. If you cannot name the asset, the process, and the fallback, you do not yet have resilience.
Good. That is concrete and my kind of checklist. And speaking of checklists, this feels like the setup for the next big digital shift. So let's move from defending systems to where the computing itself is happening.
Exactly. Next week we move to edge computing, where the action happens closer to the device in the field, not back in a distant data center. That leads right into the bigger question. How do you secure speed without losing control?
AI is everywhere this week, and not always in a good way. So what actually happened and who should care?
3 things. Brands are now using AI-generated influencers to push products on social media. A German media scandal shows how synthetic content can shake trust, and regulators are getting dragged into the middle of it. That is not a side issue. It is a credibility issue.
Wait, people are buying ads from fake people now? That sounds wild.
Exactly. The Guardian reports brands are using digital personas to sell products, and the bigger risk is that audiences stop knowing what is real. This feels less like a marketing trick and more like a strategy problem dressed up as a tech win.
Okay, but explain it like I'm tired. If I'm a school board or a company, what's the actual problem?
2 more stories make that clear. New York City politicians are pushing a moratorium on AI in schools, and California State is in disputes over how far AI should reach in higher education. The fight is about learning, cheating, and student data, which means policy is now part of the operating system.
So this is not just homework with a robot. It is who gets access, who gets watched, and who decides the rules.
Right. And the decision leaders face is simple. Set clear guardrails now, or let every department improvise. In a blended family, loose house rules create chaos. In AI, loose rules create confusion and risk.
And confusion is expensive. We have enough of that when everybody is trying to coordinate travel and somebody forgets the boarding group.
Exactly. Bloomberg says mass affluent clients are losing some appeal for wealth managers as AI tools make advice faster and easier to access. So firms are being forced to rethink personalization and trust. The lesson is that AI can scale service, but it can also flatten relationships if you let it.
That is the part people miss. Fast is nice, but if trust drops, the whole thing starts wobbling.
And that trust question is spreading. A short quote from the reporting gets it right. The issue is not just what AI can make, but what audiences will believe. That is why leaders need review steps, disclosure rules, and a human owner for any public-facing AI content.
Hold on, so what should a policy leader do Monday morning?
Pick one rule. Either approve AI uses only with clear disclosure and data controls, or pause high-risk uses like synthetic promotion and student-facing tools until policy catches up. That is the safer choice when credibility and data are both on the line.
That feels practical, and it keeps us from making an AI mess we have to explain later.
Speaking of what people will believe, the same trust test is showing up in places like digital twins and AI-assisted officiating in sports. That leads right into next week, where edge computing and real-time systems start making calls on the field instead of just in the cloud.
And if the U.S. team plays in some random outpost again, we will test that theory the hard way. See you next week. Monday mornings always feel like a test run for the whole week. And in tech, the stakes are bigger than a missing soccer cleat.
Exactly. This week's big story is AI changing how people learn and lead, with one episode on college admissions and another on resilience and psychological safety from the episode lineup. And
Wait, college admissions and team resilience in the same week? Is this real, or is someone trying to make every life decision sound like software?
it's real. Shelley Howard says generative AI is already changing admissions, and she points to adaptability, critical thinking, and strong networks as the skills students need now.
So the answer is not use a chatbot and hope, right? Good, because that sounds like a terrible family policy.
Right. The decision is bigger than a tool choice. Families and schools need a process that checks judgment, originality, and references, because AI can help draft, but it can also blur who did the thinking.
Okay, that's clearer. Who gets affected first? Students, counselors, or the colleges trying to sort the pile?
All three. Colleges face more volume and more polished applications. Counselors need new guidance, and students need to show human signal, not just machine polish.
That sounds like our blended family calendar. If one person edits the plan without telling the rest of us, chaos shows up by dinner.
Exactly. It's an organizational issue disguised as a digital one. Ann Grady's episode makes that point on resilience too. Teams need emotional regulation and psychological safety if they want to keep performing under change.
Hold on. Psychological safety sounds official. Is that just corporate for don't panic in the meeting?
Pretty much. It means people can speak up, flag risk, and admit mistakes without getting punished. That matters when AI shifts workflows, because quiet teams miss problems until they become outages.
So the tech is only half the story. The other half is whether the organization can absorb the change without tripping over itself.
Yes, and there's a practical takeaway here. Pick one process to stress test this month, like admissions review, incident response, or employee feedback loops. Then decide where AI helps and where humans must stay clearly in charge.
That feels a lot more useful than vague AI hype. Also, speaking of real-world testing, remember us hunting for a screen in Wendover to watch the World Cup? That was edge computing energy before we had the words for it.
Exactly. The next conversation is how digital systems work closer to the action, whether that's learning platforms, workplace tools, or even VAR-style calls in sports. That leads right into edge computing and why location changes the tech decision.
So stay with us. We're moving from AI shaping people decisions to where the computing actually lives. And that's not just a technical choice. That's it for Embracing Digital this week. If you've enjoyed this episode, check out our full-length weekly podcast, Embracing Digital Transformation.
And check out our website, embracingdigital.org. Until next week, go out and embrace the digital revolution.